Have you ever wondered how to attend New York Fashion Week as a content creator, as an influencer, a YouTuber, a blogger? If that is the case, then this video is for you, because I'm going to share all my tips and tricks in order to attend this newest edition of New York Fashion Week. So keep on watching. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Flor and I am a New York City based content creator, and here on YouTube I post new videos talking all about planning and productivity, working for yourself, content creation, books, and of course talking about New York. If you like what you're seeing, of course go ahead, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell so you can get notified of every time I upload a new video every single week. So you may or may not know this about me, but I was actually born in Argentina and I moved to New York in July of 2016. And in September of 2016, I attended my first edition of New York Fashion Week, and I have been going ever since. I think this upcoming edition in September is going to be number 13 for me, which sounds really crazy. And I have had the chance of attending big fashion shows for many designers, some parties, some events, presentations, everything. And why am I sharing this? Because what I mean to say is that if it was possible for me and if I made it happen, it can also be possible for you, and you can also make it happen if you're a content creator who wants to attend their first New York Fashion Week. And right after that edition of Fashion Week, I published a blog post on my blog sharing all the insider tips, all the information, and I reread that blog post this week and I decided to update it with this video and share some of the things that have changed, some things that are new or that are different. I will still be linking that blog post down below in the description box in case you want to check it out. But with that little introduction out of the way, let's get started. First of all, if you don't know what Fashion Week is, New York Fashion Week, or NYFW as you might see it written in a lot of sites and on the street, is, and as the name suggests, a week filled of fashion events, fashion shows, fashion presentations, fashion parties that happens here in New York City. This is an event that happens twice a year, in February and then in September, and New York is one of the 4 big fashion weeks happening in the world, along with London, Milan, and Paris. This fashion week usually happens the first few days of February and of September, and usually starts around a Wednesday or a Thursday and lasts until Tuesday or Wednesday of the next week. So this year, Fashion Week is starting September 9 of 2022, and the official schedule has been published by the CFDA, the Council of Fashion Designers of America. So this schedule is usually published by either the CFDA or the official New York Fashion Week site. The schedule for this year will be showing here on the site, and it will also be linked down below in the description box. So that you know, this schedule is usually published between, I would say, a month or 6 weeks before Fashion Week actually starts, so you can know what's happening, who's showing, and everything in between. Something to note is that these editions of Fashion Week usually show things a year in advance. For example, in September, we're going to be seeing what the designers have in mind for spring summer of 2023, and in February of next year, we're going to be seeing fashion for fall winter of 2024. Now that you know which shows are happening, which days of the week, which designers are showing, and at what time, you might be wondering, okay, how do I get there? How do I actually get inside these shows? So a few years ago, this was a privilege reserved only to editors of fashion magazines or to buyers. But around 10 years ago or so, everything started to change with the internet and with bloggers and then content creators, influencers, YouTubers, and now TikTokers or Instagrammers. Now, if you create some sort of content around fashion, whether that might be video or photos or text, you have a chance of attending New York Fashion Week. So how do you actually get to go to these events? You have to get in touch with the people in charge of the shows, in charge of the presentations. In order to do that, what I used to do in the past was go into the websites of each of these designers, and they usually have a contact page or a press page, and you will be able to find an email, someone that you can reach out to express your interest. Something that I also used to do was actually go on LinkedIn in and try to find the PR or the communications persons for the brand and try to reach out to that person to express my interest on wanting to go to this show. But nowadays there's like an easier way. I think this started happening like 1 or 2 editions ago, but the official New York Fashion Week site now publishes a spreadsheet with all the PR contacts for all the brands showing. The one that's on their site right now that I will be linking down below in the description is actually for the edition for February of this year, but some of the designers and the PR contacts remain the same, so you can use those. This is something that used to be like kind of secret and no one wanted to share a spreadsheet like this because it was, I don't know, like gatekeeping in a way, but it's not happening anymore. It's on the official site, and if you haven't found it already, I am sharing it with you so you can have the access to these emails that are very, very important. So now you have the agenda, the schedule, you have all these emails, and what's next? Of course, go and write that email. What are you going to put in that email? First of all, the subject. The subject should be something really simple, really straightforward, like New York Fashion Week request or content creator access request, and I usually include my name as well or my handle so they can know who's emailing them, and I usually also include the edition of Fashion Week, for example September 2022. Then you should start the email by saying hi, hello, and then introduce yourself, but a really quick short introduction, like 1 sentence saying your name, your last name, what kind of content you do, if you're a fashion lifestyle content creator, TikToker, what's up with you and your brand, and then say that you want to attend the show. For example, something like I would like to attend the name of the designer fashion show, this edition of New York Fashion Week in September. Then what I usually do is try to say why I should be there. And this is really important because being able to attend a fashion show is actually a huge privilege. Imagine that hundreds and thousands of people are actually requesting access to the show. Everyone wants to be there, everyone wants to be sitting front row, everyone wants to be at the show, but of course this is not possible. So you need to explain why you should be there. So what I usually do is say how many followers I have across all my social media platforms, and I include links to them. I also talk about my audience, where they are from, if they're from the US, from Europe, from Latin America, their age, and I also share that they are interested in fashion. Then, and what I do is include some previous coverage that I've done of New York Fashion Week. For example, showing my videos, showing my vlogs, showing my blog posts, the images I've taken, the videos I produced. If it's your first time going, you might be wondering, okay, I don't have that. How do I do it? So when I first went to Fashion Week in September of 2016, it was my first time as well, but I had attended some fashion weeks in Buenos Aires in Argentina. So what I did was link the videos, link the blog posts I did of runway shows, of backstage back there in Argentina, and show that as proof of my work, proof of what I could do, what I had done in the past. And that worked because I got the invite. But if you haven't attended any fashion week in the world, that is also okay. You can show what type of content you usually produce. For example, let's say that you do TikTok videos showing your outfit of the day. You can show that. Or maybe you do a coverage of the trends of the season without actually being at the shows. So you can show that. Whether it's a video, it's photos, it's text, show what you do, show your work, and explain why you should be there. Explain what kind of coverage you're planning on doing, what you plan to include, and how your audience, how your followers are going to react, or how they're interested in knowing everything happened during Fashion Week. And then something that I started including in my emails around 2 editions ago is a sentence along the lines of, if you're not able to grant me access to this show, please let me know if you're hosting any other shows during the season. Because sometimes the PR agencies that handle some shows for big designers or the most famous ones also handle shows for the smaller designers, or maybe something that's more new. And as you might imagine, everyone wants to go to the big ones, but not so many people want to go to the small ones. So if you express your interest and if you actually go and support maybe a smaller designer, you might actually get a chance of that PR agency, PR person inviting you to these bigger shows next season, or maybe next year or the following years. In terms of timing, what I usually recommend is reaching out to these brands, reaching out to these PR agencies around 4 weeks or so before the event actually starts. As I mentioned before, bear in mind that a lot of people want to go to these fashion shows. So the earlier you get your request in is the higher chances that you have of actually going to the show. Imagine emailing the person like 2 days before the show. It's almost impossible for you to actually get a seat. And what I usually do is reach out again within 2 weeks or within 1 week. Some people actually reply to the emails and they tell you that they're still working on the list or the invitees and that they will reach out to you in 1 week or 2 weeks time. But if no one replies, you can always follow up and check if they have actually received your email and if they're working on your request. Now that you have the schedule, you have the PR contacts, and you have sent that email and maybe one follow-up email, you might be wondering, okay, what comes next? So you might actually get a response saying, yes, you're invited to the show, or you might actually get an email saying, I'm sorry, we don't have enough space to actually accommodate your request. Or you might get no reply at all. One way or another, if you get a negative response, don't get discouraged. If it's not happening this season, it might happen the next season. And if you don't get maybe the show you wanted to, you might get another one and it might be as great. And if you actually get invited to a show, of course, go ahead, enjoy it, have a great time. If you do get invited, you usually get an email, something like this, with a seat assignment saying a letter or maybe 2 letters and 1 or 2 numbers, and that means the seat that the designer has given you. Or you might get a stand-in ticket as well, which means that you don't have a seat assigned, but you can be standing on the back. But usually if you go early, a lot of people end up not showing up in the end, so you can actually get a seat, and maybe a good seat as well. So I recommend that either if you have a seat assignment or if you have a stand-in ticket, you go early in order to be at your seat, or in order to maybe finally fill the seat of someone that hasn't showed up. And once you're finally there, all I can say is enjoy. Being at a show is a privilege, as I mentioned before, and every time I'm actually able to be there and see the models walking down the catwalk and the music and the photographers and everyone else here, like the energy, it's magical. It's so different from anything else, and really it is a privilege. It's something that not everyone gets to experience in their lives. So if you're there, have a great time, but don't forget that you are there because the designer, the PR agency wanted you there because of the coverage that you mentioned in your initial email, the coverage that you offer, the audience that you have. So take those photos, take those videos, write that blog post, whatever you mentioned that you will be working on, do that. And then after the show, maybe the next day or the next week, when you have published all your content, don't forget to send all the links to that content back to the person that invited you, back to the PR agency, back to the person that was behind the initial email. In the end, I think that attending Fashion Week, it's about not being like super important or having this huge audience, but building relationships with people. And if you're able to actually send that email and in the end get the invite and then send the coverage that you did, you are slowly building a relationship with the person behind the brand that is going to be able to grant you access to more editions of Fashion Week, to more shows of other brands they might be working on, or maybe to some other brands or things that they might be working in the future. Anyways, that is it for today's video. I hope you liked it. I hope these tips are helpful if you're planning on attending your Fashion Week this season or next year or the following years. I will be linking all the sites and all the resources I mentioned down below in the description box, as well as my original blog post. And before saying goodbye, I also wanted to give a huge shout out to Austin Tazone. You might know her because she's been in some of my previous videos and vlogs, and actually a few days ago she posted a video talking about attending Fashion Week as well. And as soon as I saw it, I texted her like, great minds think alike, because we were both planning on doing this video at the same same time. And in her video, she's sharing a lot more about the behind the scenes, like what type of content you can create, how to meet up with other influencers or photographers, or maybe booking a hotel in the city and some other stuff. So if you want to go ahead and watch her video, I will be linked it down below in the description box as well. Now that is said, if you have any extra questions, leave them down below in the comments. I'll do my best to reply to all of them. And if you like this video, of course, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. I will see you on the next one. Bye!